Welcome back into nighttime, everybody. It's October 4th. I'm your host, Patrick Previty. Alongside me, as always, is the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Bracker. Week 6 of college football is now upon us, and Week 5 has wrapped. UNLV did not miss a beat after their QB and running back jumped ship. Army is undefeated, and Alabama is the new #1 team in the country. But first, we start at the Bounce House.
We do, and we're going to head to Big Noon Kickoff. This was a crazy, crazy day. I got the privilege to go over and with Ty Patton and Daniel Valdez, our assistant producer, and check that out. You see that Shadova sign? Boom! Nighttime on national TV. I got the QR codes there.
I think you could scan it there.
I think you can. Millions of subs from that. You can see it right behind Mark Ingram there. I got Charles Woodson to sign the sign. It was really cool. But then check it out. DJ Khaled, we got to get this guy on the team because look at this. Oh, my goodness. Mark Ingram pushing the pile there.
He's a little sweaty.
Khaled, yeah, you know, a little Florida. He can't stand it. It's okay. It's okay. Not all of us can. But he's going to dive around there, and they're going to push him right back. They say, we have had enough. Make it stop. But
I really hope those students signed a waiver, honestly, before like DJ Khaled went in. Also, his bodyguards were kind of aggressive.
They kind of were. Hey, he's a big guy. You know. Yeah. I meant like celebrity status. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But you know what? It's time to get into this game. It's what has probably been our biggest matchup so far this year. It's UCF and Colorado. Now, Shadur Sanders, he would get off to a slow start, but he'd connect to Travis Hunter late in the first for a touchdown. But KJ Jefferson, he would find RJ Harvey here on a wheel route, and he would just turn on the Jets, outrunning Travis Hunter for a 75-yard score. He was never going to catch him.
Things are looking good now.
Yeah, you know. Now Shadur, he would get the ball back, and look at this perfect timing here. You see what I did?
That's an NFL quarterback.
Letting it fly to his guy Will Shepherd, mossing Antoine Jackson for 6. Now Colorado back in the red zone. Dallin Hayden would walk through our D-line for an easy touchdown. Colorado up 21-7, but he would not be the only one to do it on the ground as KJ here. He's going to pump fake, roll out, and he's going to truck a man into the end zone for 6. He would flex him on a little, do some Superman cam action. I don't know if he can be doing all of that because start of the second half, KJ, play action here. He would throw it to his guy in the flat, and Travis Hunter, insane interception, diving out, and he had a dominating performance against us.
Gotta think he gets an invite to New York no matter what happens with Colorado. Even if they lose out, he controls his own destiny, in my opinion, to get an invite to New York.
Now, KJ, he's going to try something in the end, but he would lose this ball, and big man, he's taking it all the way back to the house for 6, and this would be the nail in the coffin. This game was already over at this point. There's no coming back. Colorado, they blew us out, and they would take this one 48-21. Not too many highlights in this one. Very sloppy day for our Knights.
Definitely rough, and UCF came into the game as 2 touchdown favorites. Now, we introduce HTF's main show host, Andrew Montana, to break it down. What went wrong for UCF last Saturday?
Well, I just want to say it's been really cool to see you guys grow as nighttime guys.
Oh, thank you.
It's been so long since I've been on this couch with you guys, and I missed it. But anyway, back to the question you asked. What went wrong for the Knights? I just want to get it out of the way. The defense doesn't help when you allow for 48 points. But I think the main point of attack you got to look at here for the Knights is the offense. You got KJ Jefferson, who, by the way, that touchdown, man, to put the shoulder down, but no, 2 interceptions, a QBR of sub 25, 24.9 to be exact. The rushing game never really developed, especially with what we're used to, with what we're accustomed to. RJ Harvey put up a total of 77 yards, if I'm not mistaken. Not a touchdown either. Something you don't want to see. And then the receiving core as well. It's hard to, get that fire going underneath you when, the offensive line isn't, putting KJ in the best situation possible. We're throwing away 2 picks, things like that. It was just kind of a bit of a disaster. But the first half looked good. Granted, the first half, especially the first quarter, we were looking to be the victors in this game. But that second half just didn't pan out the way we wanted it to.
Yeah, no, definitely. It looked like we were holding it a little closer in the first half, and defense just really needed to step up. And truthfully, I thought that this could be a game where we do. Colorado offensive line, they haven't been a strong unit this year, but they looked like a completely dominating team last week. Now, after a performance like this, even a performance against Baylor a couple weeks ago, is Colorado the favorites to win in the Big 12?
I would say no, and that's no knock against Colorado. It's a great team right now. There's other teams that come to mind. For example, BYU, number 17 right now in the national rankings, as well as Utah, which if I'm not mistaken is number 18. Also Arizona, who we play later on in the year. Is that the space game? if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Currently unranked, but Arizona was number 21, the number 20, the number 20, and now they're off the list. There's a handful of good teams there, but I think Colorado could sneak its way up into the top 5, maybe even top 3 as the year progresses. But as of today, as of right now, I would say not the best, and that's not a disappointment at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of good teams in the Big 12, a lot of teams that you like, but not a lot of teams that you love. That conference is getting crazy right now. BYU had that huge win over Kansas State a couple weeks ago. Waiting for Cam Rising, potentially, if he does end up coming back for Utah. They're a little bit of a different team to mess with. But moving into more UCF-centric, we are just hearing from yesterday that Xavier Townsend is going to redshirt. This is for him to potentially transfer after this year's got an extra year of eligibility left. What exactly does this mean for the team going forward?
Yeah, this was definitely a tough blow to hear from. We've had our offensive struggles, as I've mentioned, not just today, but in previous games. Even if we played friggin' Burger King University in the first 2 weeks, like, we want to put up more numbers. We want to get more out of our receiving core and out of our, that passing game. This is a huge blow to that. And I think the biggest upsetting part, at least for me, is the fact that we were starting to use Xavier more so in our receiving core. The first week we talked about it. I even brought it up to Gus himself. He got 1 reception for 4 yards. Nothing crazy. He was mainly just a kick returner. Against Colorado, 4 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown, his first touchdown of the season. To see that go away, I'm hoping for the best for him because I saw him at Wawa. He seems like a cool guy. But no, he's definitely one of the better pieces of our offense just overall. And to see him go is obviously a shame.
Yeah. Xavier Townsend, frequent Wawa enjoyer. It's gonna be rough. He's huge in the return game, obviously, and he was starting to find his rhythm there, and it's going to be interesting to see what wide receivers can step up in his absence. But, moving into this week with Florida, do you think that after the Colorado game, after everything, is this a must-win game for Gus Malzahn?
I would say yes, and something I would like for UCF to workshop, again, I'm saying this with the assumption that we're going to beat UF and cover the spread that you guys are maybe going to mention. I don't know.
Minus 2.5. There you go.
Yeah, 2.5. I think we'll beat that. We'll win by a possession. That's just my opinion. But if we're comfortable enough, workshop the offense. Just test some things out in your receiving core in that passing game. Just see what's up. See who wants to step up a little bit, take Xavier's place. It's going to be the first game with his absence. But yeah, I think this is absolutely a must-win for Gus and the team. It's a momentum booster coming off of a heartbreaking loss to Colorado, especially after our big noon debut. I mean, you were expecting a win. So was Vegas. It's just, yeah, we gotta pick this one up if we want to have any sort of postseason contention or hopes by any means.
Yeah, it feels like there's a lot riding on this game, and it's out of conference, so they're still on track in the Big 12. I mean, obviously they suffered a loss last week in Big 12 play, but still just out of conference. So I think everybody will have to maybe take a deep breath a little bit. But what are you seeing as the biggest keys of the game here for Florida UCF?
Let William Wells play wide receiver before it's too late, please. No. All jokes aside, we've got to run through the defense. I'm looking at the stats now. We're 4th in the nation at 543 total yards across our first 4 games, as well as 2nd in the nation in rushing yards at 326. Just take advantage of that. And again, if we're in a comfortable position, I think it's best and it's in really good interest for UCF to workshop some things, see who's going to step up. But yeah, UF has run over 120 less yards than UCF this year, and I think it's something that we could absolutely take advantage of. And we're one of the better offenses statistically. Just take advantage of it.
Yeah, no, for sure, definitely. Running game is always going to be important when it comes to the Knights here. Now, like you said, UCF, it's about 2.5. Do you think this is right? Should we be favored in this game?
I would say so, just because we've won better games that to my knowledge, we've played better competition with the exception of Miami. But yeah, I think we should cover this game as well as the fact that it is an interstate rivalry. We're going to travel.
Yeah.
I know of so many, I'm the only person that I know is not traveling to Gainesville, man. It's kind of sad to see. But no, we got to pack out that crowd, and it's going to be an entertaining game, regardless of who wins, who loses. But I think the Knights should win.
All right. Well, I was actually just about to ask, what was your game pick? Because this is the game of the week. Do you have a score prediction for us?
Oh, a score prediction? I'm going to have to go with a low-scoring game. I'll just stick to what I said prior. I'll say 23-14.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Some slight.
That makes sense. Okay, who's the toughest opponent, really quick before we get out of here, down the stretch for UCF?
Down the stretch.
It could be this Florida game.
It could be. I don't think it will be.
Well, just,
I'm just seeing the Gators struggle so much this year, and it's like it's between us and Miami to take the crown for Florida. The first team that comes to mind is Arizona, just because it's that space game. I knew we're facing BYU the week before, but I don't know, something about that Arizona game. I don't know about the team itself, but the game I'm really looking forward to, and I just think that I guess both BYU and Arizona, and even Iowa State that we played the week before BYU, number 16 currently in the Big 12, in the nation. Those are all great games. I'm just going to pick Arizona. I think that's going to be a good one.
All right. Well, we're going to give our picks for this game later on in the show. Thank you for joining us, Andrew. Great show yesterday, as always. We love to see you back on Nighttime. Now, coming up, we're going to be going around college football in Week 5 and recapping what could potentially be the game of the year. So stick around.
Jack, buddy, why are you here?
I don't really understand why I'm here. I got called a delusional fan. I just don't understand why I'm delusional if I think Kirk Cousins had the best mustache in the league.
Well, Jack, buddy, I don't want to be the one to tell you this, but I don't think anybody looks cool in handlebars.
But they're back, man. They're back.
They're not. They're not. Sometimes you just got to face the hard truth. It's right there in front of you. All these people, they're calling you delusional, but sometimes you got to worry about, am I projecting? Is it me? And in this
Let me
case,
tell you something, bud. It could never be me. Anything I say is factual and truth, and that's why the Vikings are going 16-1 this year.
organization, you have to look at your roster and say, I've had Kirk O'Duggins for 6 years. Maybe it's time to move on.
There is no moving on from Kirk Thuggins and Justin Jefferson.
Do you think that maybe this all started just because of a little disappointment?
Nothing has started. This is how I live, and I am not.
And welcome back to Nighttime. Thank you for sticking with us. I'm Matthew Bracker alongside Patrick Preverty. Big week of college football, huh, Pat?
Huge week of college football.
A huge game. And I want to get right into this huge game. This might have been game of the year in Week 5. It's Georgia. It's Alabama. This was crazy. Now, Jalen Milroe, he would get this game started early, rolling out on the quarterback keeper 4-6, and they would take the first points of the night. Now, Milroe and company would get the ball back halfway in the first, and he would deliver here to his running back Miller on a little motion route that I like, going up 14-0 early. Now, Carson Beck would try to get something going for this offense, but Damani Jackson would steal this ball out of the air on a crazy interception. And that would lead to a Bama score. And Milroe, he would make the right read. His back went down. Lyman's helmet's flying off. Kid's a freak, but Milroe doesn't care. He's scoring on this 36-yard touchdown. Georgia would get on the ball here, or board here, but a really underwhelming first half for him, huh?
Crazy first half. Extremely uncharacteristic, but if you look back at the tape, those Carson Beck interceptions weren't his fault.
No, for sure. And he would atone for that, getting on the board here, finding his receiver, Arian Smith. Now, Milroe would get the ball back, letting it fly deep for his guy. Oh, my God. How old is this kid?
He's 17, born February 9th, 2007, dominating like a dude born on a leap year in a Pee Wee football league.
Dude's a monster, but Beck, hey, he's got some weapons too. Slings it to his guy Smith for another huge gain that would set them up for a score. Now 28-33. Beck would air it out and find Dylan Bell near the 2-minute mark. Breaking tackles, he's going to spin right through guys for a touchdown. That would give Georgia their first lead of the night, but it was very short-lived because Milroe, he's going to find Williams. Unbelievable spin move. He can do it all. Blender, stiff arm. He's going to hit the stiff arm. This kid's a freak. College freak ball. Do you believe?
I believe.
Now, Beck, he would lead a drive just under a minute to go. He throws up a 50-50, but it's Xavier Brown who comes down with it. Alabama, instant class in Tuscaloosa. I can't speak. 41-34, game of the year in Week 5. Oh my God.
Ryan Williams, still 17 years old. Kalen
love that
DeBoer,
guy.
what a start to his coaching career at Alabama.
That is a huge win that's going to follow them for the rest of the season. That's a game you see in the SEC championship, end of the season, but college football gods blessed us in week 5.
And they earned the number 1 spot in the AP poll this week. But now we're going to keep it in the SEC. We're going to Oxford, Mississippi for Ole Miss and Kentucky. Ole Miss ranked 6th in the nation. Kentucky looking to bounce back from almost taking out Georgia last week, but it was Ole Miss on the board early. That's Trey Harris. We'll hear more on him later. But before the half here, Brock Vandergriff to Dane Key. But, Matthew, does he catch this ball?
It's a tough call, but I think that he does. Look, he gets his feet and he's making a football move. Ball comes out, but, come on.
It's moving.
It's
moving right there, though.
I don't know, Jim.
On to the second half. Kentucky led 10-7. It's 13-10 now, nearing the end of the third. Harris, again, he'd end the day with 11 catches, 176 yards, and this score. Now, Ole Miss with their first lead since the first quarter, skipping ahead to 4 minutes left in the game. Berrien Brown, skirt! Down to the 17. Now, they didn't call a push-off here. Matthew.
Yeah, he's going to, call that creating separation, but he shoved that dude, and I think he got away with that one there.
Yeah, he may have. Now, that play set up this score by the tight end. Watch, a game-ending mistake turns into a game-winning recovery.
Oh my
Josh
God.
Caddis in the right place at the right time. 0 catches on the game, but 1 really big recovered fumble. Cats up 2017. One last chance, 48 yards. No good. Ole Miss goes down. That is the highest ranked win in the 12 years that Mark Stoops is there. Happy man. Time of possession, big story there.
That is crazy. What a crazy game. Ole Miss, you got to wonder, what is their path moving forward? We talked about them as one of the most hyped teams coming into the season, but now lost to Kentucky. No shade to Kentucky, obviously.
They played Georgia tough last week.
Yeah. So Kentucky, we might be buying some stock in them, but you know what? We're done with the SEC. Done. We're moving over to some ACC action. One of the most controversial games of the season, but here we go. Miami fumble would set up this drive. Kyron Drones evading pressure. He finds his target, Benji Gosnell, for the first points. Now, Cam Ward, a lot of Heisman chatter. He gets the ball and places it in a perfect window for a response. Now, Virginia Tech would turn the ball over after Drones threw a pick. And Miami, look, they're going to decide to get a little tricky with it. Play action. The guy's going to pretend to throw a block, but he's going to run through the end zone and, he's going to get wide open for a touchdown. Now, ball is going to go back to Virginia Tech, and look at this dude right here running a man over, and he would take it all the way down the field for 55-yard score that would tie this game up. Now, Virginia Tech, they're going to get the ball here. They're going to answer with a trick play of their own here. Jet pass reverse. This play never works in the video game, and Jalen Lane would get in the end zone. That would wrap up a pretty fun first half. Now, second half, Miami down 10. Cam Ward, he's going to let this ball fly to his receiver, but guess what? It's a tip drill. Crazy pick, bobble around. Caleb Spencer kills a promising drive for Miami. Cam Ward might have had an off day, but Kyron Downs now. He's going to avoid pressure again, find his way to get this ball into the hands of Aiden Green for 6. Miami, they would claw their way back. They take the lead under 2. Now, game on the line, all zeros. Downs, what do you got? He's got a game winner to Daquan Felton to stun Miami, or does he? Refs call this incomplete. Pat, what do you see here?
Look, unfortunately, this should have never been called a touchdown. Now, they didn't have enough, in my opinion, to overturn this, but the ball does not stop moving.
Yeah, well, either way, Miami would escape this one 38-34 in a game that truly came down to the final play. And I think that we're going to be hearing about this one and this call for a long time. A lot of fans are upset about that.
Absolutely. I was selling Miami this week. I was saying that I was thinking that they were going to go undefeated in the ACC and then lose in the conference championship game. Now, I don't know if they're going to go undefeated in the regular season. I got to be honest.
It's tough because, the USF game, I thought they got to a slow start. And then this one, they, held it pretty close to Virginia Tech. So it's going to be interesting to see the rest of the way.
Now it's time for my favorite segment of the week. We're going to go around week 5 of college football, starting Ohio State, Michigan State. Jeremiah Smith with a one-handed grab here.
Yeah.
He might be the best freshman wide receiver in the country. Buckeyes roll 38-7. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Avery Johnson to Jace Brown. 55 yards for the score. Kansas State bounces back. And don't look now, 7th in the Big 12. That conference is a mess. Absolutely crazy right now. 42-20. Next, Illinois, Penn State. Luke Altmaier throwing one of his 2 touchdowns here. Fortunately, this went the other way for Penn State. That's Abdul Carter. Fortunately for bettors, this is where the scoring ended. Illinois covered 21-7. We are Penn State.
I thought Illinois would pull through.
I did too. Notre Dame, Louisville. Riley Leonard came into the day with 6 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing. This would be his 2nd passing score for the day. Jeremiah Love's knee was not down. Stayed on the cleat. Irish win and cover 31-24.
You happy about that?
Yeah, I was. To the big house, Minnesota, Michigan, to take home the Little Brown Jug. The Gophers recover. But wait! An offsides penalty.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure about offsides here. It's kind of hard to call. But you know what? I might see some illegal touching. I don't know where this ball is going to end up before they grab it, but close call either way.
Wolverines hang on by 3. Indiana going for their first 5-0 start since 1967 against Maryland. Curtis Rourke with a strike to Donovan McCulley. Good timing for the first and only catch of the day. Indiana wins by 2 scores. Undefeated Army taking on Temple for a pass. Bryson Daly.
I didn't know they'd do that there.
Sure. No, that's the 3rd completion of the day, but that's all they needed as they won by 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
Rank Army. Ending with the SEC, Oklahoma Auburn. Huge third down here. It's Kip Lewis with the house call for the win. Brent Venables has the defense flying around right now at Oklahoma, and Auburn with a lot of questions to answer. Sooners by 6 with their first SEC win while in the SEC.
Yeah, Auburn is going to have a long season, already at 2-3. Hey, all I'm saying about Army, I'm buying Army. I'm buying the Army.
I'm buying. Good buy. I think that's
for sure.
Great financial decision.
Yeah,
I would say that I'm
Billions.
also buying Oklahoma. I like Michael Hawkins as their quarterback. I think
Yeah.
that they're an underrated, sneaky team
Yeah,
right now.
I thought he played well, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So that was, it's time for our swords and our shields.
Yes, our
Okay.
swords and shields.
Yes.
My favorite segment
Yes.
of the week.
Your favorite segment.
I'm going to get right into it. I'm taking Ashton Jeanty as my sword this week. I wanted to take him earlier in the season, but this performance, I'm glad I waited. 26 carries, 259 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Wait, this isn't his first sword.
Yes, it is. I checked the doc. I checked the doc.
I thought we gave it to him in week 2.
You know what? If
2-time sword winner Ashton
Yes,
Jeanty. I
sure.
definitely think.
That's
a guy getting invited to New York.
Oh, for sure. He could have one of the best running back seasons of all time.
He definitely could. And Jalen Milroe, not to be forgotten, he's also looking like he'll get a Heisman invite. 27 of 33, 374 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception against Georgia. Let's move into the shields.
Right.
What do you got?
My shield is Donovan E. from Boston College. He had a crazy game. 14 total tackles, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble in a close game, 21-20 against Western Kentucky.
I had to give the nod to Kip Lewis. This is my second shield for Oklahoma, actually, after I picked their punter in week 2. He had 5 tackles and obviously the go-ahead pick 6 at Auburn. Huge clutch play. So I figured give him the nod there. All right, well, that's all the time that we have for recapping week 5. Now we're going to look at some different buy or sell options with our stock manager, Ben Huber. That is coming up right now.
Tyler Brownrigg. It says in my notes you're an Oklahoma fan.
That is correct.
So let me ask you, bud. Is Texas back?
All right, I put on a brave face a lot, but this year, I'm really scared that they are, man. Okay, they just beat Alabama. They're gonna be top 4 in the rankings. And last year, they beat us 48-0.
Yeah.
It was humiliating. We're the Oklahoma Sooners. We were the best ever. We were talk of the town. We had Baker, Kyler, and Jalen 3 years in a row. And now, are we good? I don't know. We haven't won a national title since 2000. We're number 18, I think, and nothing matters, dude.
Sometimes we build up these walls thinking they're impenetrable. But sometimes you have to knock these walls down to build up bigger and stronger ones. And you got to be tough through that. It's hard being an Oklahoma fan at this time, but grass is always going to be greener on the other side of the hill, buddy.
Is it? I cannot live through a Texas national championship. I can't. I'll never recover.
You want to talk about Lincoln Riley?
What'd you just say to me?
Welcome back. It is time for buy or sell with Ben Huber. First of all, how are you doing today, Ben? Welcome in to the show.
having
Second
back.
time around for this season.
I'm happy to be on Nighttime, man. Thank y'all for having me on the show.
Hey, man, you're welcome.
Anytime.
All right, let's go with the first buy or sell option. Okay, Michigan, they have a tough schedule moving forward. Just escaped disaster against Minnesota. They already have a loss on their schedule. Big win over USC a couple weeks ago. But will they go into Columbus to the game against Ohio State ranked? Buy or sell? Actually, buy or sell. Michigan will be ranked against Ohio
I gotta
State.
sell this. Yeah. I think that Michigan will be unranked. They play, I think, 4 ranked opponents going forward in their schedule. The best being Oregon, and then also a sneaky Indiana team. I think they lose those 2, and I think they're gonna be unranked.
Yeah, I would agree. I actually tripped myself up there asking you this question. I definitely agree with selling this. I do not think that they're going to be ranked. When you take a look at this schedule, I think Oregon's a loss. I think Indiana's really, really good, and I think I could see them going away defeated against Washington, Illinois, or Michigan State.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see 3 losses here on the rest of the way, and I don't see them with 4 losses going into Ohio State ranked, but it could be close. They could get something from the playoff committee by the time they're doing the rankings towards the end of the year, but I'm going to go with sell on this.
I think I might buy, but I think I might buy them at like a 20 to 25 range. I do think that they're going to drop 2 games before getting to Ohio State. Oregon, I think that's a loss. Illinois, Indiana, I feel like they might come away with one of those games and take care of unranked opponents. But yeah, I'm gonna say buy, but a soft buy. But we're gonna get into our next topic here. Tennessee might be legit. Now, when it's all said and done, are you buying and selling that Tennessee is going to be seeded in the college football playoffs at number 5?
Absolutely. Mark it down right now. Tennessee is going to be ranked number 5. They're going to play Alabama at home. They're going to come away with the win, get the goalposts ready. They're going to take it down.
Okay.
And I think that Tennessee is going to be ranked number 5.
Wow. Okay, so they get the first
Breaking
at-large.
news, Georgia died.
Whoa, no, or they won the conference.
Alabama's
Or
winning the conference.
Texas. What? Okay. So let's break this down a little bit. Let's take a step. Let's take a
Okay,
step
okay,
back
okay,
before
okay.
so Matthew can get
I need
some
processing,
air,
I need
some
to get ready, I
oxygen.
need to get
Okay,
ready.
this means that Ole Miss would be the first at-large bid.
Yes.
And they could be ranked in the top 4 teams in the country, but they could be seeded at number 5 because the top 4 teams in the country that are
That's true.
that are in the college football playoff that are seeded are conference winners. They're conference champions. Okay, so we're saying that Ole Miss does not win the conference here, and they get the at-large bid. So either Georgia, Texas, Alabama, who do you have out of those 3 winning the conference if this were to happen?
Georgia, Texas, Alabama.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd go with Texas, honestly. They look like the better team. Alabama, I mean, it's hard to count them out, but if they do lose to Tennessee, like I'm saying, I think it will be Texas.
Okay, so then we have Texas and Alabama. Oh, you said Alabama winning the or you
No,
said Georgia?
Texas winning.
Texas.
Yeah.
Oh, Texas. Okay, so then you have Georgia and Alabama under Tennessee in these final kind of rankings. We'll see.
It's just so close. It's tough to call. I mean, I just think that all 3 of those teams are maybe not a huge step ahead.
Yeah.
Alabama, I do think that they proved it the other day. But I think that they're above Tennessee. I really do.
Well, we're also forgetting about one other team, Ole Miss. Now, does this mean that they missed the playoffs? Buy or sell? Ole Miss misses the college football playoffs.
I'm going to buy this. I think Ole Miss does miss the college football playoffs just because they had a bad game last week. They play, if I'm not mistaken, they play South Carolina, which is a sneaky good team. I think that they have Lenore Sellers back for this game, and I think he adds in their elements that offense. I think it might be too much for them. I don't know if they'll lose that game, but it'll be very close. They're going to look to bounce back, but I think that game will be closer than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I think I might buy Ole Miss missing the college football playoffs too. Maybe a soft buy. It's just so hard with the SEC because they buy us that conference like crazy. I really don't know how it's going to shape out, but I could see them missing out. I think they have a tough road ahead.
I think they do miss out,
Yeah.
and I think they get jumped by a couple other teams that we haven't talked about yet in this segment, and that is also Oklahoma. I think they could get jumped by them. I mean, there are a lot of good teams in the SEC right now, and I just don't know if Ole Miss is going to have a good enough resume as a 2-loss team to jump potentially teams that lose in the conference championship game or other teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
We already counted Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and Tennessee. That's
Yeah.
4 teams in the
a lot.
SEC. That's 3 at-large bids right there. We're running out of spots, and I think Ole Miss is on the outside looking in. So I'm a sell. Or I'm a buy.
There you
them
go.
missing
There
the
you go.
playoffs.
Don't
This
let
segment is
don't let this guy
confusing
in the
me a
stock
lot.
market.
Yeah.
But, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about another team that's been gaining some attention last couple weeks, Indiana. Now, Indiana, they have a chance to be very successful this season. They're already, undefeated, 5-0. Maybe they could sneak into the playoffs. What do you think? They're 3rd in scoring defense, 9th in total offense. I think they have a good team. Are you buying or selling? Indiana makes the college football playoffs.
I feel like the Wolf of Wall Street here. I'm buying Indiana. Give me all my stock right here. They're pretty low, I'd say, in their chances to make the playoff. I'd say give me all that stock. I'm taking Indiana to make the playoff.
Here, you know what? I'm going to buy that too. And I think right now you can get this pretty cheap on the market.
Yeah, for
They
sure.
are just now finally ranked. First 5-0 start since 1967, as I mentioned earlier. Their coach comes from the Alabama Nick Saban coaching tree. He was the wide receiver coach and recruiting coordinator for Nick Saban from 2007 to 2010, and coached from a couple different teams. He was the old coach at James Madison. Brought him up from FCS to FBS. Kurt Cignetti. Great guy.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but I'd assume so.
But you got the vibe. You get the vibe. I don't know. I might sell. They're kind of like pretty far in the rankings. I think they're like around the 20 area or so.
23.
Yeah, and they got a tough rest of their schedule. I know that they're playing, Nebraska. I know Nebraska's not really as hyped as it was earlier in the season. They got Michigan and Ohio State late in the year, so I might sell, but it might be close. It might be close.
All right. Well, we're also going to take a turn and talk about Ryan Williams, the greatest
Phenom.
17-year-old college football player of all time. Got a lot, of career left to play. Not even halfway done with his freshman year. But we're going to look way ahead. Are we buying or selling? Ryan Williams ends up sitting out one of his years in college football. It's a different landscape right now.
I'm selling this. I don't think he has to sit out a year. He's so good right now. Why would he even redshirt? Obviously there's some circumstances that might happen that, he gets hurt or, something happens where he has to transfer. But I think as it stands right now, if Ryan Williams stays in Tuscaloosa, I don't think he's sitting out a year. I think he's just going to play out 4 years and go to the NFL.
Yeah, you actually brought up a really good point. I don't think he would have to redshirt to then transfer and keep any eligibility left.
Right.
I think the question is also that he has maybe too much eligibility left. Like at the end of next year, he will be already solidified as an NFL prospect. So, he might not want to risk injury, and he could end up sitting out. We see it a lot now, more than we have in the past and in the previous years. But certain guys like Jadeveon Clowney didn't rush back from his injury when he was at South Carolina, we've seen. And just over time, we see guys sitting out bowl games and whatnot. There's just completely different. I'm gonna sell for right now, but I would not be shocked if that ended up happening, and absolutely no judgment here if he ends up sitting out his true junior year.
Yeah. Well, a lot of players are sitting out right now. Well, not for Ryan Williams reasons. You got the UNLV quarterback, now Xavier Townsend. The landscape of college football is changing like crazy. But, talking about Ryan Williams specifically, I'm going to sell. I think that I don't know if we can call him like a generational first-round pick just yet. I know I like him a lot, but it's just a little bit too early. So I'm going to sell here. I don't think he is going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's move into the game of the week. It is the Florida Gators taking on the UCF Knights. Now, I am not undefeated anymore in the game of the week picks. I would be wearing the chicken hat that has unfortunately been forgotten about. Ben, you could start us off. Who you got this week?
Gosh, I hate to do it. I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm taking the Florida Gators.
Wow.
I can't trust my UCF Knights at this point. It's sad to say, but I'm taking the Gators.
You got a final score prediction for us? I was going to ask if they covered because Florida was initially favored, but it's UCF now.
24-21.
Oh, okay. Close game.
I could see it
close.
being a
Very
close game.
close.
In my opinion, I think that this is, I'm hoping that it's going to be a bounce-back game for the Knights. I have dressed in all black today because I'm hoping for a funeral against the Florida Gators. I'm taking UCF 31-17.
I would actually have to agree. I think this is going to be a shootout. I got UCF 42-38. Still going to be close, but that's all the time we have for today. Thank you, Ben, for joining us on Nighttime, and thank you, Andrew, once again. For Matthew Bracker and everybody in the studio, I'm Patrick Previty. This has been Nighttime, and we will see you guys